It's fun. It's an adventure.
It's amazing. It's super. It's a cool island. It's just one big ridge, and we're gonna run the whole ridge.
Such an exotic race. It looked like a challenge and something I really wanted to experience, so I'm really excited to be here.
You want to stop and you want to just sit down, and it's people saying, come on, come on, come on, so you keep going for them.
This is La Isla Bonita. Isla Bonita means beautiful island.
Came here to this beautiful island to, compete against some of the best in the world.
This beautiful island is La Palma, one of 13 volcanic islands that make up the Canary Islands off the northwest coast of Africa. And it's home to the Transvulcania ultramarathon Isla de la Palma. Whilst most visitors come here to soak up the sun and put their feet up with a long, cold beer, this week 2,500 competitors have travelled from around the globe to take part in one of the fastest growing ultramarathons in the world. The numbers of entrants are rising rapidly, and that's exactly what the runners will be doing from the gun. It's an 83-kilometre course with 4,500 metres of ascent. Transvulcania is part of the Skyrunner World Series and attracts a world-class field of mountain and ultra runners, including favourites Kilian Jornet and Nuria Pikas. Jornet is 5 times champion of the Skyrunner World Series and holder of a string of titles. Despite suffering badly in the heat last year, Jornet claimed 3rd place.
The ambience in the island is awesome. It's a lot of people in the track. It's a nice trail, so I have a really good memories also with the hard finish. We're gonna be a lot of runners in the challenging for the race. Then it's a long race, so everybody gonna have problems, and someone gonna be better in the end. But I think I tell Sage Kennedy and Cameron that they're going to be good because they're going to start fast.
American Cameron Clayton is a recent arrival in ultra running, but has made a big impact already with a number of podium finishes to his name. Fellow American Sage Kennedy is a 2:16 marathon runner, but began upping the distance in 2012.
I like traveling, and this is a really great destination to come to, but also I like to compete against the world's best, and I want to see kind of how I stack up against the best in the sport. I live in Colorado in the mountains, so I'm already up at altitude a little bit, which I think is really good because the top of this race is pretty high and the air will be thin up there. I guess part of my strategy would be to work steady on the uphills because that's kind of my strength.
Those uphills kick in brutally fast, extinguishing the pre-race euphoria. The race starts at sea level and instantly climbs 2,000 metres in the first 18 kilometres. A brief respite after El Pilar leads to the ascent of the highest point in the race, Roque Los Muchachos, which is 2,426 metres above sea level and 57 kilometres into the race. With sand, rock and gravel, the descent that follows is technical and incredibly steep at points, taking them back to sea level again before climbing to the finish in Los Llanos. There's an uneasy night's sleep for the athletes before a 6 a.m. start at Faro de Fuencaliente. The atmosphere at the start is tense, but has a festival feel as new and old friends meet and ready themselves. They're united by their desire to conquer Transvulcania and experience the magnificence of La Palma. The Western States 100 record holder Timothy Olsen is here to win, his passion being in the mountains.
They inspire me. It's not like I'm training per se. I just want to get out there and explore and see what there is to discover, and seeing where else I can go and run. And I like doing it on my own 2 feet. It's simple. You know, you just put on a pair of shorts and shoes and you're good to go, and I really like that simplicity.
Spaniard Nuria Picas is amongst the favourites to win the women's race and was second last year, but on the start line her face says everything about the daunting task ahead of her. Her nearest rival will be 2012 Skyrunner Series champion Emily Forsberg.
It's always nice to race, to share all the feelings, to feel all the others' excitement and everything. And I didn't have so many expectations because it's so early in the season, and I didn't even know if I could run 80K because I haven't been running so much, so I had no expectations really.
I was fairly nervous. Such a spectacular start with all the people there in the dark is like nothing I've ever experienced in an ultra marathon race. So I was pretty nervous, but I like having a little nerves because that means the adrenaline's flowing and you care and are excited about the race, which I was.
The nerves are justified when the first 7 kilometres is a 1 in 10 climb to the village of Los Canaries. Body and mind have to be fully prepared on the start line. So at 6 a.m. with a cry of vamos, the race is underway.
This being my first sky race, I didn't know what to expect, and with all the vertical I was a little scared. A lot of the top guys were kind of keeping an eye on each other. We didn't want anyone to get away. But yeah, I knew it was going to be a little crowded on the single track, so I wanted to make sure when we got to the narrow point that I was in a good position and had space to move up.
The women's favourites, Forsberg and Picas, also set off at a punishing pace.
I think that we started very, very fast. Yeah, I didn't feel very, very good because it was so fast for me.
At Los Canaries, Sage's early push is paying off.
But at the first aid station at 4.6 miles, coming up into the town, that's when I took the lead for the first time and maybe got 100 meters on Cameron at that point.
100 metres is nothing in an 83-kilometre race though, and Cameron and Killian are happy just to keep Sage in their sights for now. In the women's race, Emily Forsberg is looking strong, but Nuria's uncertainty about the early pace seems justified. The incredible atmosphere, even at this early hour of the morning, is part of the reason this race sells out every year. The entire population on the streets to cheer the runners on. Sunrise reveals another big draw for this race as the island's beauty is unveiled.
The highlight of my day of seeing the sunrise was just amazing, and seeing the other island Tenerife off to the right was breathtaking.
The sunrise was so beautiful. It gave me so much energy. It was wonderful.
The most beautiful thing I've ever seen during a race.
But along the volcanic ridge to Las Deseadas, Sage is more interested in looking back for the competition than out at the landscape. Cameron Clayton, Killian Jornet and Patrick Bringer are flying down the track.
Morning was awesome when we came to the volcanoes and it was the sunrise. It was like, wow, this is beautiful. I want to stop and take pictures. In these moments when you are in these landscapes, you feel like you don't need to push to run.
But Sage does need to push as he tries to capitalise on his lead and his preference for ascending. The strength of the field here at Transvulcania means Sage has more to worry about than just the 3 runners he can see. Former Olympic biathlete Luis Alberto Hernando is expected to do well in his first ultra race, while the more experienced Timothy Olsen is choosing his own pace. As well as 1,600 runners taking on the whole course, there are 700 doing a half marathon that ends at El Pilar. The descent to El Pilar is welcome relief for everyone as the running becomes easier.
Getting out of the sand and getting onto some of those like fire roads, it was more runnable. I got kind of let my legs turn over more, and I think I was just really excited because I was in the lead, and I tried to take advantage of that. I think it was good to take advantage of that part of the race.
With 24 kilometers completed, Patrick Bringer glances to his left. Over 30 kilometers away, he can see the highest point of the race, Roque Los Muchachos. Sage's pursuers are unrelenting in their approach, gradually bearing down on him and affording him no slack as they approach the aid station at El Pilar. The pace on the downhill means there's no margin for error, as Cameron Clayton finds out. There's nothing between the lead women as Forsberg and Pikas arrive together at the aid station.
There is no tactic. We are running together, but I would like to stop more in the few stations. I would like to be calm there, but sometimes it's not possible because Emily or me are so nervous. The tactic is go fast, and we will see at the end.
Forsberg makes a break for it, perhaps in an attempt to lose Pikas, but the Spaniard won't let her go. After El Pilar, it's the long ascent to the race's high point, Roque Los Muchachos, over 2,400 meters above sea level. Things are beginning to look bleak for Sage Canaday at this point. His early push and the ever-present pursuers sapping his energy.
Knowing that Killian and all these other really strong runners were still right behind me, I was kind of running scared more. It was like I was in a hunt and I was the prey and I was being chased down, so it was kind of scary.
Join us after the break for the second half of this epic race and to see if Sage Canaday can hold on. Welcome back to the Transvulcania Ultra Marathon. American Sage Canaday has taken an early lead, but is now being relentlessly closed down by an incredible field, including Kilian Jornet and Luis Alberto Hernando.
I was running up the hill, I was starting to feel kind of tired. My legs were getting tired, and I looked back and I could hear people cheering, and I was like, that sounds like they're probably 1 minute behind me now. And so I knew Kilian and Luis were gaining on me, and Cameron was still there too. I could see him, so I looked back on one of the switchback hills and I could see them all coming up towards me, gaining ground, and then I knew they were probably going to catch me for sure.
The 2,500 meter peak at Roque Los Muchachos looms as the race reaches its critical point. It's here that Sage's early pace finally catches up with him. Luis Hernando is now leading the race with favourite Kilian Jornet on his heels. A dispirited-looking Sage Canaday finds himself struggling to hold on to a podium position. By now, everyone's hurting, even Timothy Olsen, a man happy running 160 kilometres.
I gave it all I could getting up to Los Muchachos. It's just kind of one of those points where, you're just giving it everything you have. You're power hiking, breathing hard, and I gave it all I had up to the top there. And then once you get to the top, it's just flying down. Trying not to lose any teeth along the way.
The leading women, Emily Forsberg and Nuria Picas, are still together as they reach the aid station at the summit. But Emily's edge is just becoming apparent.
I had maybe 3 minutes sometimes on her, but I knew that I could wait for her, and I did sometimes, so I connected with her because I didn't want to push alone, and if I reached Los Muchachos, which is the highest point, I knew that I would go super fast by myself in the downhill, and I didn't want to hurt my legs.
Forsberg seems to have the confidence to save her legs for the finish. It could be a wise tactic, but for most of the runners, just completing the course is the goal. And this is the time to refuel, cool down, and maybe just rest a moment. Descending 2,500 metres in just 20 kilometres is no joke for the runners as they head for Tazacorte. Kilian's ski mountaineering pedigree means he has no qualms about heading downhill fast, and he soon passes Luis, making his victory almost inevitable. His only concern may be the fall that he had at this point last year that combined with the heat to cost him the race. Sage Canaday is holding on to third place on the way down the strenuous but stunning trails that most visitors to La Palma take at a steady walking pace. Picas still leads the women's event on the descent, but Forsberg seems to have everything under control. As temperatures peak, runners find relief wherever they can. At the end of the descent in Tazacorte, the festival continues with huge support from locals, tourists, musicians as they await the runners.
Coming down the switchbacks here to Tazacorte was amazing because they had, I couldn't see when I came down here, but a band or something where you could hear the drums from, kilometers away, and you could just hear that pounding, and it psyched you up.
As Kilian arrives at the foot of the switchbacks, he finds a hero's welcome. With the crowds parting before him, Kilian still has 6 kilometers to go and 300 meters of ascent. He's laying to rest the ghost of last year's race. '12 women's winner Anna Frost lends support as he passes the aid station. In Los Llanos, the red carpet awaits as Journey, the crowd favourite, arrives in a record time. 6 hours, 54 minutes. He's 5 minutes inside the previous record.
People here, it's incredible. They share. It's all the foil island in the looking for the race and in the finish, and it was incredible. Last year they supered me so much that this year I needed to run for them. It was more for them than for me, so it's incredible.
That support and a fantastic field helping Kilian beat Dakota Jones's record from last year.
I never race for a cross record. I can't push myself to focus in a time, or I think it's not possible. So I think it was possible because we ran fast and Sage start fast, then Luis Alberto, but I prefer to run easy and to see the landscape, but others don't want.
Luis Hernando comes in second to start his ultra running career with a bang, and the camaraderie of this sport is on display as Kilian greets him. After putting on a brave effort, Sage Canaries is happy to soak up the support and the celebrations on the line.
It's amazing. It's like no other race I've ever done. I was giving a lot of the children high fives the whole last 500 meters, and it was really fun, and to see so many people cheering for you is just spectacular. You feel like a rock star, kind of, so it was really special for me. I think maybe other people might start embracing the same sort of spirit that you see here, but it would be impossible to replicate with the beauty of this island and the beauty of the course.
And that explains why so many people return to compete in and support this race. Emily Forsberg finally breaks free from Nuria Pikas to take the win in the women's race.
I'm not really used to long distance and so early in the season, and I managed my race very good, and I'm very proud of myself how I did it. And I think this is my first race. I do everything like I want it to be.
Nuria's exhaustion at the end shows the effort she put in to try and contain Emily. Massive disappointment, finishing second for the second year in succession. But again, the close-knit community and support in ultra running shines through. So Kylian Jornet finally getting the win that he wanted so badly, and the bonus of a record time ahead of Hernando and Canaries. In the women's, Emily Forsberg, superb to take the scalp of Nuria Pikas. As the sun sets over the Atlantic, the runners continue to finish, each completing their own incredible journey over La Palma's island trails. At the awards ceremony, only the victors claim their spoils, but everyone's celebrating yet another successful Transvulcania ultra marathon.
In the end, it's all about having just a satisfying day within yourself, with enjoying it with your fellow runners and friends, and the island, the people here celebrating the lifestyle of just getting on the mountains and just being alive and free.